Hello, I'm Sheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York. Welcome to One to One. The Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show is this country's most prestigious dog competition, in which about 3,000 purebred dogs from this country and abroad compete. Television viewers watch breathlessly as some of the most beautiful dogs in the world, as well as some of the oddest looking, vie to be chosen as the best in their breed and to win the coveted title of Best in Show. How did the competition come about? Why is it so popular? How does a dog get to compete here? And what does it mean to be a champion? Gail Bisher was recently named the Director of Communications for the Westminster Kennel Club, which hosts the show, and she will clue us in to the workings of a competition that for more than 140 years has held dog lovers in thrall. Welcome.
Thank you.
The Westminster Dog Show is certainly the biggest, most prestigious competition in the United States. How does it compare with dog shows in other countries in terms of size and prestige?
Well, it's certainly, as you said, the most prestigious in the U.S. There are other kennel clubs in other parts of the world, like in England, the Kennel Club, it's known as, is an older kennel club and has a much larger event. Our event is only contained by size. The fact that we're in Manhattan, we're in New York City, we can't have as many dogs. So we do have a limited entry of 2,800 for the dog show portion. And there are other shows around the country, even in the U.S., that are much larger numbers-wise because they may be in Florida or in other parts of the U.S., but that have more space. But here in Manhattan, you know, we have very little space. And so to have 2,800 dogs is a lot.
So when and how did the show get started?
The show started in 1877, and it actually began with the Westminster Kennel Club, which was a club developed by gentlemen of the day who were sportsmen, who used to hunt with their pointers and other gun dogs. And they basically used to meet at the Westminster Hotel, which was a hotel here in Manhattan, and they would talk about whose dog was better and have a drink and brag about their dog's hunting abilities. So it really became my dog's better than yours at hunting is how it all started off. And then they decided to make it a more official organization. It became the Westminster Kennel Club, and then they started putting on the events.
Okay, and as I gather, the Westminster Kennel Club and the Kennel Club of Philadelphia together form the American Kennel Club, right? Which is that is the national governing body for dog shows?
That's correct. So many of the members of the Philadelphia Kennel Club of Philadelphia, excuse me, and Westminster were founding members of the AKC, the American Kennel Club. They preceded it. They were both older than the American Kennel Club, but they knew that there needed to be formal regulation for all of the dog sports since it was a growing passion.
So who are the members of the American Kennel Club? I mean, one thinks of something probably wealthy people, kind of stuffy. Who are they, and do they run everything really pertaining to the certification of breeds of dogs and handlers, all of that?
Well, the American Kennel Club is a club of clubs, actually. And so Westminster is a member of the American Kennel Club. They govern the regulations and policies of the sport, and they will also license the judges and test the judges and make sure that they're AKC licensed for the events around the country.
So what are the requirements to compete at Westminster?
So at Westminster are a couple different things. We have 3 different sports. So we have conformation, which is what you see at Madison Square Garden on television at night, and that's what most people are familiar with. And that's where we're judging breeding stock. We're evaluating breeding stock. So this competition, you have to have had a major win to enter. You can be a champion. And also, we invite the top 5 dogs of every breed. So let's say you're the number 3 English Springer Spaniel in the country, you will get an automatic invitation so that you can enter the show and make sure that you're there.
And these are all pure breed dogs, purebred dogs.
For the conformation part of the show, yes, they are purebred dogs. And as I said, the judge is evaluating the dogs based on a written standard where there's an ideal standard of what a pug is supposed to look like as far as length of back, height, color, shape of head, eye shape, eye color. ear fold. All of those things are dictated and spelled out and described in a written standard. And so the judge is really judging which dog comes closest to that ideal.
You are the first woman to be named Director of Communications for the Westminster Kennel Club. Why did it take so long?
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm really excited to have taken the post. It really is an honor and a privilege because of the history of this organization. I'd worked there before in other capacities, an assistant in communications, and did a lot of archival work for the organization. And when you go back and see the publications and photos from the 1800s and the early 1900s, it's very interesting. And as a dog show fan and exhibitor, there's nothing better than going back and reading what happened back in the old days.
You've had a long history of working with dogs. I gather you've been training dogs since you were 10.
That's right. My parents were involved in the sport. They bred dogs. My mom was a judge, AKC licensed judge, and so I was going to dog shows since before I was 10, but I actually was competing at 10. I was in the ring with dogs, showing them and handling them at 10.
And there's actually a junior competition?
That's right. Part of the dog show is a junior showmanship competition where the dogs are not being judged. The juniors are being judged on their handling abilities, how well they present the dog to the judge, how well the dog's groomed and trained, and how it's behaving and performing in the ring.
Now, you're certified for a number of things. You're a canine fitness trainer. What does that mean?
Well, something that I began a few years ago, in 2009 actually, was the Superfit Fido Club, which is actually after I'd left the American Kennel Club and wasn't working there anymore, I still was very active in the dog sport world. And I recognized actually that the obesity epidemic for dogs reflects the human epidemic in our country. And since when you're showing dogs, you're always physically conditioning them, so they have to be in top condition to show and compete. And so it's second nature for people from the sport, but it's not always second nature for the person who just has a pet and wants to have a nice companion. So if there's anything I can offer to help them learn to extend their dog's life by keeping it fit and trim, then I feel that that's something I can offer.
And you're also a professional handler. How does one get to be a professional handler?
I'm no longer a professional handler, but I was during when I was going to college, paying for college, I was a professional handler, which means if your handling ability is better than others, then people will hire you to show their dogs. You're kind of like a jockey in a horse race where people will try and show their own dogs unsuccessfully. Maybe they just don't have the coordination or they don't have the time to dedicate to training the animal, so they'll hire somebody who can do a better job than that.
And are you trained to do that, or do you?
You have to self-teach. You're self-taught, so you watch others. As a young person, I would sit ringside and watch successful professional handlers that do it for a living, and watch their movement, watch their efficiency of movement, which is an important part of it, how they connect with the animal and relate with the animal. All of those things are things you can pick up just really studying people.
You're also an American Kennel Club licensed confirmation judge. What does that mean?
That means that I can judge certain breeds. I have bearded collies, Shetland sheepdogs, and junior showmanship. So I judge those classes at dog shows around the country, and then I will add on breeds as I go along when I have time.
In other words, you've studied what are the ideal qualities for those breeds.
Right. That means I've been tested by the American Kennel Club and shown that I have knowledge of the standards and those breeds.
Many people, including myself, watch the annual Westminster Dog Show with fascination. Why do you think people are so intrigued by the show?
Well, the thing that makes it unique is we show every single breed. And so people get to see breeds that they're not going to see necessarily every day walking down a street. You're going to see some of the lesser known breeds. And you're also going to learn about the history of those breeds. Most of these breeds are very old because they were bred to work with man or for man in different capacities. And so not only are you getting a little history lesson, but you're also learning about breeds that you don't know about.
And there, I was looking at what the 7 groups, terriers, toy group, working group, sporting group, hound group, non-sporting group, herding group. The Terriers, I gather, hold a record for winning Best in Show.
They do, but these records, remember, go back till 1907 because that's when we started awarding Best in Show. Before that, there wasn't that award. But in 1907, there were a lot of Terriers in the Northeast, more than some of these other breeds, and so they seem to have won more right off the bat. Like there was a Smooth Fox Terrier who won 3 Best in Shows in a row, 3 years in a row. No one has done that since, and probably never will.
It was the Secretariat of
That's right.
of dog shows.
It was a different time.
Okay. Some of the dogs that we see are just so beautiful, so physically beautiful, and so meticulously groomed that they almost seem unreal. What makes a dog a champion in his or her category?
Well, to become a champion or to earn your championship title, you have to have defeated so many dogs within your breed. So that comes from going to dog shows around the country and having different judges award you points towards your championship title. And what they're basing that on is if the dog is conformation physically, if it conforms to the written standard that I spoke of before. So if your golden retriever fits the standard more than the other golden retriever in the show ring, if it fits it better, it's closer to the ideal, then you're going to consistently beat that dog under the judges. And so the champion, what the public sees as champion and what we know as champion is that it's a dog that is physically appears and gaits. It appears this way and gaits as it should based on its function. So if the dog was to be a gun dog out in the field, it has to have certain angulation, bone angulation in the rear, shoulder layback. It's about anatomy, how long the dog could run in the field or herd sheep all day. Are they built to do the job they were bred to originally do? That's what the judge and the standard are really based around.
So you have all this grooming and you have all of this feeding and getting a lustrous coat and all of that stuff, but it's really the anatomy that rules.
That's right. It's the anatomy, and they're also their temperament is a big part of it. Obviously, you need different temperaments for different jobs. If you have a dog that is supposed to be protecting the flock, they're going to be a little more aloof, probably a little more stoic than the dog who's herding the flock. So they're different. It's all about the job and the utility they were bred.
And discipline, I would think. I've never seen a dog have an accident in the Westminster Dog Show. I don't know if it's ever happened, but I've never seen it.
Oh, it happens.
Okay.
Oh, it happens.
Okay. We're going to take a short break, then we'll be back with more with Gail Miller Bisher, Director of Communications for the Westminster Kennel Club, after this message. Welcome back to One to One. I'm Sheryl McCarthy of the City University of New York, and I'm talking with Gail Miller Bisher, the Director of Communications for the Westminster Kennel Club. I would imagine that, the judge who judges who's the best in each individual category is an expert on that breed. But I'm always wondering how the judge who decides on the best in show, how he or she makes the decision. How does a single judge know so much about so many different breeds?
Well, our judging panel every year is filled with people that are called all-rounders. These are people that judge all breeds around the country all throughout the year. This is what they do. And so they're very experienced dog people. And certainly they're going to have more expertise in certain breeds than others because that's just human nature, and over time that's going to happen. This is a somewhat subjective competition in that the judge knows the standards of all the breeds, but then also it's their interpretation of the standard. So that's part of it as well. And then on the night of Best in Show, when everyone's nervous and anxious, part of it is how well the dog is performing and how well the dog is showing, and if it's really asking for it is what we call it. Asking for it.
Okay.
So there's a little something. Is there a little spark, a little something that just makes that dog stand out from the rest? Mm-hmm. Because Cheryl, I got to tell you, Best in Show, those 7 dogs, any one of them could win.
Right.
They're all fabulous dogs
Right.
at that point.
And sometimes, there have been times when I've seen dogs who just seem just remarkable, but then a dog who looks just kind of not as remarkable gets chosen, over the other
Well,
dog.
again, it's who's closer to the written standard.
Okay.
So that's something that we try to make sure we talk about in the broadcast and also at the show when we have our Dog Show 101 presentations on site. And we try to educate the public and explain that that's actually what's happening. So you're not judging the Saluki compared to the Dachshund. You're judging which dog is closer to its written
Its own standard.
That's right.
One would think that it would be a pretty expensive undertaking to breed and groom and train a champion show dog. Is it?
Well, that's the great thing about our sport is we attract people from all different walks of life, all different economic backgrounds, educational backgrounds, everything. And everyone can enjoy the sport. We have people that are coming to our show that have top ranked dogs that have probably put a lot of money into it and sent them with top handlers around the country. And then we also have people that have probably just shown in their region and they've saved their money and they're coming to New York. So it really is for everybody. It just depends on what you can give or how much time you have and how much money you're interested in spending on your hobby.
And you said it's only the top 5 in each category who get asked to the show.
They're automatically invited, but other dogs can also enter if they're a
really?
champion.
Okay.
If they're a champion or have a major win towards their championship.
How does one get to be in the top 5? Is it the number of...
That's dogs defeated throughout the year. So there's thousands of dog shows around the country every year, and people will go to those shows and try to become the top Cocker Spaniel, let's say. And so it's based on how many dogs you've defeated. So if your Cocker Spaniel has won several Best in Shows around the country, then your points are going to accumulate quickly versus someone who just stays in a small area and just goes to local small shows.
So what do the owners and the trainers get out of it? Does one win money if you win a dog show? Or does first prize get a pot and second get a little less? Or is there money in breeding champion dogs?
This is not a money sport. There is literally no money. You will be losing money. Everyone loses money. It is a hobby. This is what people like to do. Instead of going to ice hockey practice or any other ballet practice, they go to dog shows. This is what they do. And so you don't win money. Westminster, there's no financial prize. You do get points towards your ranking because that's just part of the show system. But it's really the honor of having that badge. And then if you do have a male who wins Best in Show, their stud fee may increase some, but this is not horses. These dogs are not making that much money because the puppies aren't, as they said, it's a hobby, so the responsible breeders aren't looking for numbers to sell. They're not looking for lots of puppies to sell. That's not the intent. It's about breed preservation and welfare.
Okay, and the honor of raising a really great dog.
That's right.
From time to time, I gather the show accepts new breeds. How does that work?
Yes, this year we have 3 new breeds that will be newly eligible. They're not really new breeds, I should step back. They're actually old breeds, but they're newly eligible to compete at Westminster. So the American Kennel Club, again, our governing body, determines when a breed is AKC recognized, it's called, and then they can participate in dog sports. And so in 2016, 3 breeds passed that threshold and became AKC recognized. We have the Slugie, the Pumi, and also the American Hairless Terrier this year. That'll be our 3 new breeds. And actually, they're very ancient breeds. The Slugie is a very ancient African breed, similar to a Saluki or an Afghan. It's a sight hound, a tall sight hound. It's smooth-coated and was bred to hunt game out in the desert and harsh conditions like that.
And how do they get recognized as a new breed or breed that can compete?
The AKC has guidelines. They have several guidelines for that. Part of it is geographic location. There have to be enough dogs in the U.S. There has to be a parent club. So the Saluki Club of America, for example, or Association of America has to be established as a club to write the standard, protect the breed in any way possible, and there are other elements that AKC has that the dog people have to pass this threshold to become recognized.
Now, I think I have the name right. The Chinese crested generally gets high marks for being the ugliest dog in the world. Does this dog ever compete at Westminster?
Of course there are Chinese cresteds at Westminster, and they're not ugly. They're very attractive. I think some of the ugly dog contests you see online and are dogs that unfortunately have some physical, I don't want to say disability, but some physical traits that are not things you would want. They're usually not healthful traits. And so I know those things go around and people vote and all of that. But I guarantee the Chinese crested you see at our show would not be looking like those dogs.
Okay, I'll look out for them.
They'll be very attractive.
Do you have dogs yourself?
I have 2 miniature dachshunds right now. They're retired. They're 13 and 12, so they're now helping me raise my dogs.
Did they compete at one point?
They did a bit. They did. I was working at the American Kennel Club prior to Westminster, and so I couldn't show heavily because of conflict of interest, but you can certainly show somewhat. And so they competed in different competitions, obedience competitions, earth dog competitions, which is a performance event where their instincts are tested, their hunting instincts. And they did do dog shows as well and reach championship level, but that was it. We didn't go for national rankings because I didn't have the time.
Are you allowed to say what some of your favorite breeds are?
Well, I grew up showing bearded collies, so beardies are definitely still a favorite. I really love that they love every person they meet, and they are just a happy-go-lucky dog that is so happy to be alive, and they're never sad or disappointed or ornery. Where a dachshund can be a little more independent thinker. So they're very different, but I love all my dogs.
Okay. I tend to favor working dogs. I mean, I like a dog who has or had a job.
Right, right.
At some point in time. But there are dogs who are just for, leisure, aren't there?
The toy breeds primarily are companion animals. They were bred to be companion animals, often by the wealthy or their aristocracy. But most of the other breeds did have a job, in fact. So it was either hunting or herding or guarding. Those are ratting. A lot of the terriers were ratters who were bred to rid barns and other places of vermin back when that was a bigger issue.
What are your goals we got about a minute left. What are your goals as the new spokesperson for the Westminster Kennel Club?
Well, first and foremost, to carry the tradition and legacy that has already been laid out. I mean, it is a prestigious, very prestigious event, and so I want to continue what has already been built. But we also know that we have to look to the future and look for a younger audience and make sure younger people that are distracted by lots of technology and tablets and screens remember that dogs are a wonderful part of any life, and we want to make sure that they remember that and know that there are sports where people can participate with their dogs and have fun with their dogs.
And I gather you're going to be one of the commentators, the analyst on the show?
That's right. We have a new TV partner, Fox Sports, and so we're really excited. We have a 10-year agreement with them, and so this year we'll be on FS1, myself and a Fox Sports crew will be broadcasting, and we're really excited.
Okay, well, I'll be watching, and I'll be looking for those really handsome Chinese crested
Oh,
you
great.
told me about.
Good.
I'm afraid we're out of time. I want to thank Gail Miller-Bisher for joining me. If you'd like more information on the history of the Westminster Kennel Club and dates of upcoming events, go to www.westminsterkennelclub.org. For the City University of New York and 1 to 1, I'm Sheryl McCarthy. If there are any people you'd like to hear from or topics you'd like us to explore, please let us know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.